Mayor Smith, members of the council, thank you for your time tonight as we talk a little bit about the opportunity of our future prosperity economically for the city. It has been said many, many times that we're not here to grow the prosperity of the city corporate, but the prosperity of its people. And a big part of doing that is playing catch up. As you know, we're a fairly young city. We've only been here a little over 20 years now. We're competing against those cities that have been here 100, 120, 140 years and who have developed assets that we currently don't have but are working hard to get. Now, I hope I pushed the right button. I did. So what defines a successful city? A culture of enterprise and innovation where places adapt quickly to new opportunities and everyone can share in the possibilities and rewards of business success. Emphasis on everyone can share. So why are cities important for economic growth? Well, the truth is the fundamental economic advantage urban areas offer is the potential for greater efficiency brought about by population density, talented human capital, of which we have many of in our community, and access to resources. These economies of scale increase labor productivity and enable private sector growth. So infrastructure contributes to economic growth. Now we can put our picture in the paper, we can put out glossy articles, we can do things all day long, but none of that matters if we don't lay the foundation necessary to promote an economic foundation for our community. So the underlying structure of a city and its economy, the fixed installations that it needs in order to function. And I've provided a list, and I'm not going to take the time to read through those, mostly because I can't read them from this distance. But over a year ago, at our futures planning, you directed me at the time and the city staff to work towards the Maricopa Business Park, and we laid out some guidelines and some deadlines. I'm here to say that we are on target with those deadlines. And tonight I want to talk to you specifically about a smart rail park. Now, as you can see, we have roughly 1,262 acres, of which the city council, the city currently owns, depending on your action tonight, 608 acres. It is rail served. There are public-private partnership opportunities, and we are currently working to put out, I think later this week, if not next week, an opportunity, an invitation for bids for a master developer, not to be confused with a master planner of the park. Utilities are well positioned. The east-west corridor is a part of that, which we have now dubbed the Desert Sonoran Parkway. It's an opportunity for manufacturing and distribution tenants to be located, and frankly, has the potential to create between 33 and 36,000 jobs. With 6 to 12 million square feet of Class A industrial space. Now, when I say industrial space, we're talking about research and development, we're talking about distribution centers, we're talking about any number of areas. We're not talking about just large smokestacks and those type of things. But to do so, we have to be a catalyst to move things forward. And as you know, the city is growing very quickly. And as you know, in order to do this, we have to find a way to assemble enough acres to make it worthy of someone to come in and make the investment necessary, the infrastructure investment to make all this happen. So tonight, specifically, if you look at the map, the city already owns the part in green and the part in orange, the part in blue, and the part in blue striped. But the three parcels that have stars on them are being presented to you tonight for acquisition towards the full-blown smart rail park. So the total acreage would be 1,450. City owned 300. The additional acquisition would be another 308. And then the large oval circles are areas that could be acquired at a later date, either by the city or hopefully, and more importantly, by a master developer that could be recruited to bring on board. So the land acquisition is $2.18 a square foot, which represents a little bit over $29 million. The good news is this is coming out of the city's cash reserves. We're not having to borrow money. We're not having to take out bonds. We're not having to raise taxes. And we're not losing too much in the way of interest rates because interest rates are very low. And in fact, land appreciates at a much greater value than sitting in the pooled trust fund or some of the other funds that we have. So we're looking tonight to move this forward. And as I indicated, we'll be putting out a invitation for bid for a master developer. And I'm pleased to say that at present, we now have 3 to 4 interested parties who I believe will submit a bid when those bid goes out. So federal and state grants, spent some time and have researched this and worked with several groups. There is actually a federal pre-development planning grant where 100% of all pre-development soft costs, including engineering, architects, study and reports, legal fees, financing fees, permitting fees, etc., can be paid for. Now, we can say, well, what are our chances? In my opinion, they're awfully good. Matter of fact, I would say they're better than awfully good. There's also a federal infrastructure grant wherein 100% of all infrastructure hard costs for the project, including bringing utilities to the site, ingress and egress costs, interior road improvement, pad creation, etc. And more importantly, and ultimately, I think this would be a product of the master developer, a federal construction loan program, 40 years amortization with 5 years of payments deferred until the project is stabilized with an interest rate of 4.75%, which is far below the market rate. So we now have opportunities that we need to seize, but none of this matters if we don't have the land. So the project before you tonight is to purchase the land. We have issued under a bid process a contract to Olson Associates, a nationally recognized engineering and design firm with national and Arizona-based projects. I shared this with you in a previous meeting, to come on board and help us with the planning. It's my hope that the master planners will work with the master developers and the city to move this forward. Also, as we have discussed previously, we will be pulling together a think tank of prominent citizens, many of which were part of the META board in the past, and we'll be coming back to you, council, in the very near future to begin to establish the Industrial Development Board, which there are some members in the audience, I won't give their names, but that will be part of that recommendation to you that you would consider for appointments. I won't go through the Olson team, but that information is available if anyone's looking for it. But we're hoping to at least have the master plan, the 20,000-foot master plan, available by June 20th. And I'm happy to say that as a part of their team, they have someone who has significant railroad experience and has done projects such as the Mesa Gateway project out at the airport, the rail lines, and those type of things. And some of the master developers who are interested in putting in a bid also have significant railroad opportunities. So part of that is, there is the rail spur that feeds the ethanol plant, but it's not enough. So these might be difficult to see up there, but they represent opportunities for additional rail spur onto the property that can feed that 6 to 12 million square feet of additional space. So tonight, council, we're looking for your support to move forward with the purchase of these lands, and I'm happy to address or answer any questions you might have.
Council, any questions? Yes, council member. Oh, all right. Hold off just a second. Any questions? Okay. The only comment I have is I want to make sure I took note. 33,000 jobs?
Yes.
Impressive. That would be way cool. But I want to make the point.
They probably won't have to drive down to 347 quite as often.
Imagine 33,000 people that don't have to
it's
drive.
Not going to happen overnight.
I know.
Media.
I know.
Not overnight.
But I want people to be aware that this is in progress and moving along. And I think the important word, and I don't remember if you used it or if you used a different word, but catalyst. Us being a catalyst to make this happen and make this vision actually appear as a probable and necessary project for the City of Maricopa is huge. And when I mentioned earlier in talking about Ricky and talking about the revenues as they grow over 5 years versus the expenses, and they grow over 5 years, but not anywhere near to the magnitude of how fast the revenues are growing. And this is why it is so critical to have that vision and that leadership so that you can create a new vision with the funds that make up the difference between revenues and expenses. It's really key and very important, and this is how the City of Maricopa is going to make it happen. And I can guarantee you nowhere else, I guess I can't say nowhere. There might be somebody else who can tout the same thing, but the City of Maricopa is in an awesome financial situation to make something like this happen. So I want to be a catalyst and make it happen.
And Mayor and Council, I failed to mention, I think it's important too, that we're buying the land from El Dorado Holdings, which is Mike Ingram's group. They do have other parties interested in buying the land, so if we don't, he will sell the land, but we will miss a great opportunity. But more importantly, he has discounted the price because of his love for this community, and I think it's important to note that.
Yeah, that is important. All right, anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Wade.
I just want to offer a suggestion that we did some 5x7s or 8x10s of you, so that the mayor of Casa Grande, when he asks the question, how are we doing it, we can send him your picture.
I'm afraid there might be too many darts thrown at it, but thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, if there are no more comments or questions, Councilmember Manfredi, oh, yes, oh, okay, Councilmember Manfredi, would you like to make a motion?
With the future thinking in mind, of course, I'd like to motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Manfredi and seconded by Councilmember Wade. Any additional questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.